During the ancient and historical times, and right up to the early 18th century, the use of water resources was well within the carrying capacity of freshwater ecosystems, and therefore proved to be sustainable for a considerably long period of time. Now, since global human population was relatively sparse and dispersed, the demands on freshwater systems were such that there were relatively low levels of competition and conflict. Water resource management during the 18th and 19th century became more and more of a state enterprise, since governments soon realized that control over the water system was necessary for governance, in general facilitating the growth of the agrarian, industrial, and urbanization processes. In the 20th century, the growth in human population had reached enormous proportions, and the resultant exponential increase in water demand and abstraction, plus non-sustainable practices of water use and effluent discharge, led to the emergence of a serious water crisis that was characterized by increasing scarcity in absolute terms and in quality terms.
We are a little confused about this word alternatives, because we in India for 9,500 years have looked at water as the native technology of dealing with water. And what's developed and emerged in the last 200 years is the alternative. The big dams, the centralized irrigation systems, the urban systems, and all these modern systems.
By the end of the 20th century, the first major global response to the growing water problem appeared in the form of the Declaration of the Dublin Principles. The Dublin Declaration called for a fundamentally new approach to the management of water resources based on the recognition of interdependence between population groups and between mankind and nature regarding the utilization of water resources. This approach is what we call integrated water resource management.
El agua tiene múltiples usos, todos ellos interrelacionados entre sí. En la gestión, el aprovechamiento y la conservación de este recurso participan también múltiples actores. El enfoque de gestión integral del recurso hídrico procura que haya un equilibrio entre el uso, la protección y la sostenibilidad que tenemos que hacer para las futuras generaciones.
In the absence of a clearly defined guideline or framework, NGOs and CSOs in various parts of the world have worked on and applied the principles of IWRM with varying degrees of success. Unlike the top-down approach of the mainstream establishment, these organizations initiated their work through a bottom-up approach, which was flexible, multidimensional, participatory, and primarily addressing location-specific issues. And it is through such experiences and experiments of practitioners that the concept of negotiated approach to IWRM emerged.
El enfoque de negociación es una nueva forma de llevar a la práctica la gestión integrada de los recursos hídricos, que viene siendo desarrollada por una serie de organizaciones alrededor del mundo y que se basa en la experiencia acumulada a lo largo de muchos años de gestionar los recursos hídricos de una forma diferente. Ya no se basa en el esquema tradicional de formulación de políticas de arriba hacia abajo, sino que pretende elaborar las políticas, elaborar los acuerdos, elaborar los mecanismos de gestión de los recursos hídricos partiendo de las experiencias concretas de las comunidades, partiendo de abajo hacia arriba, involucrando a todos los sectores sociales en los diferentes niveles. Entonces se inicia desde las microcuencas hasta las cuencas e incluso en los niveles nacionales, llegando a formular las políticas, considerando los intereses, las necesidades las visiones de los diferentes actores involucrados y especialmente el de las comunidades y el de las organizaciones de la sociedad civil que están en el día a día gestionando los recursos hídricos en los niveles locales.
The following principles are key to the NA. Number 1, principle of self-motivation and primacy local action. Global experience suggests that the negotiated approach works best when it is initiated by a self-motivated nucleus and when it responds to a strongly felt need or a conflict situation perceived by the local community. Number 2, principle of community first and its empowerment. The IWRM depends greatly on recognizing the first rights of the local communities residing at the various locations of a river basin, safeguarding their access to water resources and their right to water as a human right. It also recognizes water as a social good and a community pooled resource. Number 3, principle of flexibility for functioning simultaneously at different levels. A flexible approach is imperative, keeping in mind that IRBM works in a dynamic environment where external conditions like economics, climate, institutions, etc. may change. This is in tune with the adaptive management, where changes in strategy and functioning are made according to the external feedback received. Number 4, principle of water use optimization through integration. In a situation where there are various legitimate and diverse objectives which need to be reconciled, it is prudent not to pursue the maximization of one or two objectives, but to optimize all objectives through the negotiated process of discussions and trade-offs. However, such a process of resource optimization is possible only when there is a systemic integration at different levels. Since there is a natural tendency towards guarding positions of sectors and interest groups, it is necessary to lobby and advocate for the creation of fora which work towards integration. 5. Principle of subsidiarity and decision-making through consensus building. Decisions made through the negotiated approach are the result of a consensus-building process and not a reflection of mere majority. This principle underlines the importance of iterative negotiations, capacity building, sensitization, and working through a river basin perspective. In order to achieve this, the NA embraces all sections of society by ensuring that no stakeholder segment of the community, especially those who were historically deprived and discriminated against, are excluded from the process of empowerment and negotiation. 6. Principle of iterative upscaling. Upscaling can be horizontal or vertical. Horizontal upscaling refers to numerical repetition or expansion of an experiment, model, technique, planning procedure, or physical structure for increasing the outreach and delivery of software and/or hardware options, especially for replicating the successful models. 7. Principle of maintaining ecological integrity. Maintaining the integrity and resilience of ecosystems is crucial for conserving their intrinsic values and for enjoying goods and services available from them. 8. Principle of maintaining gender balance. The negotiated approach aims at achieving gender balance through participation in decision-making. 9. Principle of using appropriate science and technology. Adopting appropriate technology implies a judicious selection of techniques, structures, instruments which are ecologically sustainable, affordable, not too complex, easy to maintain and repair locally, functional, and suitable to the purpose objective aimed at, and more importantly, optimal in the design and application. 10. Principle of transparency and accountability. Transparency and accountability in functioning and operation is an important and essential principle of the negotiated approach. Negotiation is viewed as a creative interactive process that aims to stimulate changes and innovation. Thus, it does not refer to a process of bargaining for a single merit solution in which participants try to maximize their individual gain, but rather to an open and flexible approach in which all participants join and find their different interests reflected in a creative multi-merit solution in which benefits are optimally shared among as many stakeholders as possible. Recognition of local knowledge is an important element or even a condition in this approach. Such negotiations consist of a dialogue intended to resolve disputes and to reach agreements on courses of action. To make such an approach successful in reaching win-win situations requires an open, though carefully structured process and a paradigm shift of all stakeholders. The following tasks can be distinguished in the facilitation of a negotiation process. Task 1, preparing the process. Task 2, reaching and maintaining process agreements. Task 3, problem analysis. Task 4, identification and analysis of possible solutions. Task 5, forging agreements. Task 6, communication of representatives with constituencies. And Task 7, monitoring agreed actions. NA is a step beyond what traditionally has been understood by integrated water management because it features a bottom-up focus that brings up the possibility of innovation from traditional and local knowledge and the possibility to scale up that knowledge to design national plans and policies. It's not just a solution-finding process. Horizontally, participation is another feature that empowers communities and turns them into proactive participants in the process of building joint solutions to the problems that they face every day.